Yeah, those were Nigerian professionals and petroleum from their country who came here to Uganda and share their knowledge with the Ugandans here and see how best we can also handle our oil. And according to them, this will encourage joint venture projects and support Ugandan enterprises in acquiring information directly from the source. And this will help us make sure we have our oil organized here in Uganda. You see, it's good to always get knowledge from our partner countries. Getting to another story, the members of Kasita have petitioned the government of Uganda over what they called unfair taxes that are imposed on traders at a time when our traders here are struggling with the issues of commodity prices. Let us have more of this report.
They appeared before Thomas Tayebwa, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, in the company of Association's Chair Thaddeus Musoke, to discuss some of the problems facing the traders as well as some suggestions they believe will benefit both the government and Ugandan traders. According to the chairperson of Kasita, many farms were severely impacted by the COVID-19 times and are only now beginning to recover, if not still fighting to do so. It would be wiser if the government promoted non-tax incentives which benefit everyone instead of tax holidays, which just favor a select few.
As Kasita, we recommend that the government can champion non-tax incentives. Non-tax incentives or strategy. This is a strategy whereby the government can design infrastructure. Like currently, we hear the government is trying to repair the levee. This is good news to us, to fully utilize the lake, because those are cheap means of transport. And these ones benefit majority of Ugandans than tax incentives where few companies benefit. If few companies benefit, so the few Ugandans who are paying taxes, you find that they are overtaxed.
In spite of several meetings they have had with various government institutions, according to Musoke, the majority of the dealers are out of business as a result of bank loans and their assets are currently being auctioned. He continues by saying that accessing the government recovery fund, which was placed in the Uganda Development Bank and other commercial banks, has also been difficult due to numerous restrictions and high interest rates.
Loans accumulated. We try to engage different government agencies and the banks. You find that what was designed wasn't effective enough, because currently banks are auctioning buildings, auctioning property, and the business community even cannot access top-ups. We are trying, as Kasita, lobbying different government agencies and requesting your office to see how best we can assist our comrades who are in such a very tricky situation. The government allocated a recovery fund.
The members have also expressed their displeasure with the 18% value-added tax that was recently imposed on animal feeds but had been removed by the 2017 Amendment Act. Some claim that this is an attempt to cripple the agricultural sector.
So we are coming up to realize that recently most of our companies trading in the poultry and animal feed concentrate are being asked to pay taxes of import duty on items that we brought in and cleared through the normal process of URA, and they were duly released. Then URA comes up to say that unfortunately there was a misclassification, and because of that we are supposed to pay backwards import duty of 18%. And as far as we are import duty of 10%. And this is really in colossal amounts of money. But you also understand that unless the objective of URA is to bankrupt us by engaging us to pay this unfair tax through their own mistake, it wouldn't be fair. So it is upon that reason that we have tried to come back to Parliament, who we believe are the framers of this law, to interpret it clearly. But
in his response to the members of CASITA, the Deputy Speaker noted their concerns and forwarded their petition to the Committee of Trade, where it will be discussed with all parties involved in an effort to find a permanent solution to the problems raised by CASITA.
You presented them. They are very strong and well-documented issues, which I will refer to the Committee on Trade to go and do a comprehensive study and engage the different stakeholders. Through this engagement, some of the issues, especially right now, the taxes on clothes, okay? Those ones you can even hand at committee level. Because we would go back to what did we agree last time. Yes. Why are you URA now charging different from what was agreed with the minister and captured within the agreement? Okay? So those ones, I will refer to them.
As much as Parliament is eager to back CASITA, Tayeba also urges that it is time for them to begin backing government's import substitution. He urges that they do not want an economy that is totally run by foreigners, which has put strain on the nation's infrastructure, but rather one where both native people and the foreigners work side by side.
I'm proud to be importing 100 containers without exporting any. This is the question you have to sit down as CASITA. You look at, are you proud? Because you're not only, you find you generate income of 10 billion a month, but you don't employ more than 2 people. Because the only people you employ are people to just clear the containers. They keep moving. But you have enough capital. You have enough exposure to even start producing some of these products which you're importing. Some of the factories of the people you're importing from, you're even richer than them. But now they are keeping jobs in their country. The cost of doing business in Uganda has tremendously gone down. So this is where we need you as CASITA. How can you indeed support the import substitution strategy of government?
You see, Uganda was hit by the COVID-19 outbreak, and most of the businesses in the country got struggling. Up to date, they are still struggling. And CASITA members are saying when government continues to impose taxes on their business, it's really unfair. And they want government to look through this and see how best they can provide other means of collecting taxes than imposing unfair taxes on these businesses. Let us get to civil society organization discussing the inflation of Uganda and what Ugandans should do in as far as inflation is concerned and what could be the repercussions if we handle it badly. Let us have from Samuel Kirimunda, who reported this story from Searsburg, and see what they told us.
Like what the US was in 1970s. The lesson learned from the VOCA disinflation in the 80s is that it followed multiple failed attempts to lower inflation for over 15 years. A lengthy period of very restrictive monetary policy was ultimately needed to stem high inflation. That was in the US. Our goal is to avoid that outcome by acting now.
A senior economist from civil society budget advocacy organization Sophie Nampeo, Njuba, provided some highlights on the economy. Why the central bank raised its central bank rate from 7.9% in July to 9%, reflecting interest rate at 19% at the lending and borrowing from the investments and private sectors. Following a deficit in our revenue correction caused by the monetary policy and the COVID-19 impact.
Yes, we still have effects going on from the COVID-19 pandemic, and seeing our revenue collections, we had a shortfall in 1920 of 3.2 trillion and 2.2 trillion in financial year 2020-2021. We hope this can pick up as we move, starting this financial year, and we get to a better state. But then there's also a sharp increase in our budget deficits. Yes, we have shortfalls in revenues, and unfortunately our expenditures are not going lower also. So we still see budget deficits. We from to 7.1% and 9%. 7.1 was in 1920, financial year 1920, and 9% in 2020-2021.
Dickson Katushimbwa, a former senior commissioner of URA Customs, responded to the public opinion about product subsidizers in the country, saying that it is bad for the nation. At a consultative meeting with members of parliament and the Bank of Uganda.
Subsidies are not good for economics. If you, for example, say you want subsidized fuel, you will only be worsening the situation. Kenya tried it, and the new president has removed it. Because when you say subsidy, it means you are getting revenue and using it to subsidize for other people. So I do not support the government giving out subsidies, especially consumptive subsidies. People must be able to adjust with the way of life. What I can only support are productive subsidies. For example, Kenya is giving subsidies for fertilizers for farmers, so that farmers are able to increase productivity. I think government is thinking along the same lines. Those ones can be sustained. But consumptive subsidies, to say you give money to the sugar companies or fuel companies so that the price goes down, that is bad economics.
According to Mr. Wiblod O, Executive Director of Uganda Bankers Association, the only option for the private sector to survive the current condition is to take use of chances provided by the government to compete for market share in the region.
It has tried. It is trying to open up the Congo market. Yeah. I would put a lot of effort, including turning all our cargo planes or airlines into cargo ones, to take and find market as the roads to Congo and Sudan are done. So that one, there's market, two, there's FX generated, three, the supply chain and the linkages behind the manufacturer.
It doesn't affect the monetary part, but it can help us grow. Because if UNRA, for example, we tell UNRA, please, no more constructing new roads, but let us beef your budget on operation and maintenance. So those bridges that are collapsing, you can fix them. That's very important. The roads that are impassable, you can patch them back again, so that there is be new traffic. But new roads, we can put them on hold.
Ugandans should adopt the government's suggestion to lessen the effects of current circumstances. For example, the parish development model, which will give each parish 100 million and increase household income by 39%, while eradicating poverty through production.
Okay, those have been the stories that made the headlines in the days of the week. I want to thank you for still sticking to the Smart 24 TV, where we are driving business. My name is Pedison Mumberedes. Catch up next week.